Hello everybody, EmyyWolf here, brand new video. Today is December, I don't know, December something. Whenever you see this video, that's the type of December that it is. But anyway, we are in December of 2024, and I just thought of a video for today, and I don't know where I'll post this video. Depends on my language and my French and the words that I use and how I deliver this video and my messages. So, it depends if I use a lot of cuss words, if this will be on YouTube or not. But anyway, my channel is EmyyWolf, EMYY Wolf, EMYYWOLF, the word wolf, okay? EmyyWolf with 2 Y's. My handle is EmyyWolf_304. So yeah, everything will be on the description, on the video itself, and everywhere else. So you can check out my other web pages. But anyway, we have a topic for today that I wanted to, post a long time ago. But since I have time right now, I'm about to hit the gym. I'm hungry, but I'm about to hit the gym for a couple hours. I want to hit the pool. I want to hit the jacuzzi. I want to hit the ropes. I want to just make my muscle groups hurt, so I feel like a competent person and like someone busy, and so that I feel like I'm physically able. So that's why I hit the gym. Exactly. But anyway, this video is not going to be of a positive nature. We're going to talk about a lot of things here. So as you can see on the screen, I watched a couple videos related to the topic of today. And the topic of today, I don't know how I'll title this video, to be honest. I don't know how I will title it. But we are going to talk on a lot of things that people should, listen to. We need to spread this message, basically. So let me start off with, I am not religious at all. I am an agnostic, basically. I believe in spirituality and the spirit and all that, but I am not religious by any means. I'm not religious at all. I used to be. The last time I believe I was religious was basically the last days of 2021. Basically, starting 2022, I believe, was the last time I believed that I was religious or believed in a God or something like that. My entire family is Christian, even though they don't attend church ever, but they believe themselves to be Christian, all of them. My mom and dad were brought up extremely Christian, so that's how it is. Anyway, so moving on. I don't know how I'll start this video, to be honest, but we're going to talk about a lot of things. The reason why I'm not religious at all. We're going to talk about having children. We're going to talk about being child-free. And the fact that I'm kind of an anti-nihilist. So look up the definition to being anti-nihilist or anti-nihilism. Look up the definition of agnostic and all that. All right, so yeah. If you hear background noise, ignore it. I'm in a parking lot. It is what it is. Can't do much about that. I will try to cut it out as much as I can, but excuse the background. Anyway, let's move on. So there's a couple, Eric DUBAY, all right? I will leave his name up below in the screen, but Eric DUBAY, he's a YouTuber, and I listen to him a lot. A lot of his content has been removed from YouTube, so you can look him up on other web pages online, whether that be Rumble or tchUte.com. He describes the reasons as to why a lot of his content has been removed throughout the decade, and yeah, he explains exactly why that is, and you can look that up for yourself. Eventually you will realize why he had an old channel with hundreds upon thousands of videos, and they were all taken down. So yeah. Eric DUBAY, big fan, but the videos of him that I watched that describe me for like 100% are the ones listed above. So that will be God, the gaslighter, is Earth a prison or school, that type of shit. So you can look that up. Those videos are still on YouTube. If you want to see those videos, I highly recommend, and I 100% agree with those videos. As you can see above, I also saw a child-free video, or a woman being against women being child-free and not having children. So we are also going to talk about that. So I don't know what I'll title this video, but I'll title it whatever you see on the title. But we're going to talk about why I don't want to have children whatsoever at all, ever. Now, let me talk about why I won't have children first and foremost. Then we can get into the whole I'm not religious, I don't believe there's a God, and all that later on, way later on. So let's talk about why I'm child-free and will stay child-free until the end of my life, until, I pass on of old age or whatever. Whatever gets me first, right? But yeah, I'm choosing not to have children ever, like at all, ever in the history of ever. I will 100% just not have children at all right? Through any point of time ever. Now, I used to be religious, like I said, not anymore, but I don't think religion has anything to do with my decision of being child-free. Did I ever think I was going to be, this type of person, not wanting children, being child-free? Did I ever think, did I ever want children when I was younger, like a child, when I was in high school or something? Did I ever want children? I don't think so. I never thought of, in the future I see myself as a mom with a lot of kids and doing the whole family thing with the cats and dogs and the kids and the holidays and all that. I don't think I really saw myself that way, Like, if I ever thought of the future, it probably was me doing some form of career or entering some form of career forever, like being stuck in a career and being miserable, like you see in the movies, like the typical someone is stuck in an office miserable type of thing. That's what I envisioned for my future, and it usually made me feel horrible. It made me feel upset, so I would refrain from thinking about any sort of future. I would think about how I would lose all my high school friends, and that for a fact happened, obviously, because people go their own directions. So usually I thought, the high school experience is shit, but if I think about the future, I'm gonna think about, I'm gonna lose all my high school friends. I'm not gonna see these people anymore ever again in my life. Life just won't be the same anymore. Parents won't take you to holidays and all this stuff. You're gonna fend for yourself. You're gonna be one of these miserable office people. That's what I would think of when I would think of the future. I never would think, you know what, I'm gonna be a mom and I'm gonna have this amount of kids and I'm gonna have like a husband and the dogs and the picket fence and I'm gonna be a stay-at-home mom cleaning after vomit on the floor. I never thought of myself that way for whatever reason. I just never imagined or visualized that. Usually I would visualize, I'm gonna be at an office miserable. So not really did I visualize myself as a mom or anything of that nature. Moving on. Now in my adult life, in my 20s, once my 20s started, that's when people will talk about, oh, we're gonna have children and, your friends get pregnant or they don't or whatever. But that's when people start getting pregnant. That's when people start marrying. That's when people start entering the dating world if they hadn't entered it earlier, during their high school days. So that's when you see all of this, dating apps, people are dating and all this stuff in their 20s. So when I hit my 20s, yeah, that's when I got attracted to one guy in specific more than any other guy ever. But because he was so attractive, I knew, he's not the settling type of person. So that's pretty much where it ended. And if he doesn't settle, then I don't settle. So that kind of, that's kind of the end of that story. Like, I'm not gonna settle with someone I'm not attracted to by any means. Zero chance of that happening. I just don't see it happening for me. Like, how am I gonna be turned on? How am I gonna get into the bed sheets with someone I'm not seriously sexually attracted to? I just don't see it working for me. I don't see myself getting, aroused. I just don't see myself getting aroused. Like, how am I supposed to do it? It doesn't work for me. So the best option for me would be just to stay single and alone forever, pretty much. And am I okay with that? Yeah, pretty much okay with that. Like, I don't see any issues with that whatsoever. If I don't get the guy I'm seriously attracted to, that's it. That's the end of that story. I am not mating. I am not reproducing. I'm choosing to stay single and not have children by any means, by any stretch of the imagination, right? And this is eugenics, I think, because the best genetic male doesn't want to settle and doesn't want to raise his brats. I don't see myself settling with anyone else, period. So that's reasonable to me because, first of all, I'm not going to reproduce with bad genetics with someone that's going to deal with bad genetics themselves, number one. Number two, the only reason for reproduction is to upgrade, the genetics, to get good genetics and forward that DNA and genetics into existence. Otherwise, no, I'm not doing it, right? So yeah, that's the best decision for me, just to not have a boyfriend or get married or have children at all. Number one reason, all right? But let's move on for why I would choose to stay child-free. Like, there's more reasons than just get the hot guy genetics, there's way more reasons than just that alone. So let's proceed. Life is hell. Nothing about life is nice. Why would I bring someone into this world so they could have a bad time through all of life? All of life is hell. And just because you don't see life as that, it doesn't mean that it isn't. Just because you don't see life as hell and a constant battle, it doesn't mean that it isn't. Just because you're listening to nice music right now with your headphones, doesn't mean that everyone else is. That type of thing. It's not nice by any means at all. Just because the flowers look nice doesn't mean nature is nice. Just because the sky and the sun looks pretty doesn't mean life is pretty. Like, life is hell. It's pure hell, okay? There's bullying, there's harassment, there's rape, there's murder, there's so much evil in the world that it's not worth staying in it. I'm not saying let's all take ourselves out because life is this. I'm saying, we're already living life that, we have to deal with that, period. But besides that, why would I give birth and bring people into this hell? Why would I do that to someone? That to me is evil and selfish. And that's one of the things about antinatalism. You need to basically understand that life is hell. And if you bring someone into this hell, that's an act of evil. To me, that's an act of evil. And I don't want to do an act of evil. All right? Especially if you go to any of these incel channels. Incels are negative guys, all right? They're negative, down, bad guys. And one of the things they mention over and over again is they wish they hadn't been born. Like, I'm going to play a clip here, maybe or maybe not, but there's many incels on YouTube that say over and over again that it would have just been better if they just had been aborted or never had been born. So that's yet more reasons not to ever have children by any means, by any stretch of the goddamn imagination at all. Like, not only do I not want to bring someone into this hell, but they're going to have a bad time if they're born in incel or any of these things. Like, if they have some kind of deficiency, some kind of mental illness, if they develop some kind of mental illness later on in life, why the hell would I bring someone into this hell if they're going to live hell? Like, that's so fucked up to me and so vile. It's so evil. Why would I put someone through that shit? Number two, basically. Number one, why would I not mate with bad genetics? Number two, why would I bring someone into this hell? All right? So we already have two gigantic points right there, period. Now let's move on to point number three. Having a child, bringing a human into this hell, into this world, is a detriment on all of society. Because not only are you bringing yet another mouth to feed into existence, you're burdening the rest of the people that are already here. Like, I know that sounds fucked up, but it's facts. It's truth. Like, you're bringing yet another mouth to feed on top of all the mouths that are to feed already. Like, that is so evil and fucked up on all of society. You are causing a burden on all of society. You are bringing yet another detriment to all of society. It affects nature because we need the plants, we need the fruit, we need the vegetables, we need to mass produce even more. We need to kill off more animals yet to feed. What else? It affects all of the animals, all of nature, all of society. Like, this is why there's mass production, because there's mass people. We are overpopulated for a fact. You can see that when you get up on an airplane and you see loads of buildings. You can see that off the bat when you get on an airplane. We are already overpopulated, and people that have children on top of the overpopulation that they see under everyday lives, it's just plain evil and selfish. So either or. I just see having children as an act of evil or an act of selfishness. All right. So not only are you burdening society, you're burdening your child. Because they're gonna live through hell that the world is. All right, you're burdening the child that is gonna have to put up with this existence. You're burdening society, all of society, because of the mass production. You're burdening nature because now we need to feed from nature. All right, the child needs to feed from nature through all of its life. So I just see it as a burden on everything, just on everything, on the child itself, on the family, on all of society. All right, on mass production, a complete burden on all of production. All right, so there's just countless reasons right there alone. Let's move on. The burden of having a child on the woman's body. So yet more reasons not to ever have children, especially as a woman. As a woman, you will give birth naturally most of the time. If not, they're going to slice you up so that you can give birth. So then you have to deal with scars, you have to deal with loose skin, you have to deal with stretch marks, you have to deal with, probably if you gave natural birth, your entire bottom anatomy will be messed up for life. Even if you don't think, it just will. It will. You pushed an enormous load through the bottom part of your body. So everything below has been now compromised. If it hasn't been stretched for life, the chances are it's been stretched for life more often than not. So when you do have intercourse with your husband, with your partner, with the baby daddy, it just won't feel the same to him ever again for life. And a lot of women experience prolapse too. So your entire body has been compromised for life. All right, in most cases, for most women, it has been compromised for life. Your entire body anatomy has been compromised for all of life. The same won't be for your husband. Your husband just has to release, and that's it. His entire body doesn't get compromised for all of life. The woman's body gets compromised for all of life. So yeah, the anatomy won't be the same. It'll be a complete and utter detriment on your entire body. Not only that, but during the pregnancy, women have lost teeth, have lost hair, have developed depression, because they realize now that their entire body is compromised. That's the reason they develop depression. So it's just an entire complete problem for women compared to men. All right. Not only that, if the man chooses to leave or to disappear, to turn you into a single mom, he can. He just can, because he has no bond to the child, no real bond to the child like the mother does. So if he wishes to disappear onto another country, he can. And yeah, it's just a complete problem for women, a complete and utter problem for women, so it's just better to not have children ever in all of existence. Like, fuck all of that shit, I'll die alone, fuck all of that shit, fuck it, so yeah, it's just a plethora of reasons as to why I don't want children. I just see the entire process as a complete detriment on nature, society, myself, and the child. A complete problem. All right, it's a burden. It's literally a fucking burden, and no sort of talk will get me to ever think that having children is something good ever at all in the history of fucking ever. Like, we are a plague. Humans are a plague. You see that when you drive in the streets. You see that when you get on an airplane. You see that humans are literally a plague on this world, on this planet. All right? We are a plague. And too bad if you don't believe that, if you don't agree with that. You see it. You see it. You feel it deep down that we are a plague. We are a burden to each other. All right? I said that in that video called Everyone is a Detriment to You. All right? You can watch that video. It'll be on my YouTube channel. Everyone is a Detriment to You. Look that video up on my channel. I said that we are a detriment to each other. So on the daily, we go on the streets. People don't let you fucking drive. All right? Then you get up on an airplane and you see the plague that we are on all of the planet. All right? We destroy nature. We burden nature. All right? So on top of all of that, we're going to create more children because they look cute. Ridiculous. That's a retarded point of view. That's a low IQ point of view. That's a horrid point of view. I'm going to have children because the child looks cute. Retarded. All right? Low IQ point of view. All right? No amount of reasoning to have children can surpass the amount of reasoning not to have children. No amount. You can come up with whatever idea you want as to have children, like in agreement to having children. Nothing will surpass the points that there is not to have children. Like, the points not to have children surpass the amount of points to have children. Like, there's way too much negativity in the world for anyone to consider having children at all. And the people that do have children, they must be not only living in their feelings constantly, like on a daily basis. They base everything, all of life, on their own feelings, number one. Number two, they must be some sort of narcissist or some sort of selfish ass fucking person for them to consider ever having children in this society, in this existence, whatever you want to consider this world, right? They have to be some level of narcissist, sociopath, or selfish. They have to literally, for a fact, be some level of narcissist, sociopath, or selfish, entitled individual. They have to, for a fact, have one of these in their psyche. They have to, for a fact, be narcissist, sociopath, entitled, selfish being to consider having children into this hell, because this is hell. It doesn't matter how nice it is, like I told you. It doesn't matter how nice the world kind of looks with its plants, with its animals, with the blue sky, with the sun, with anything in it. It doesn't matter how nice it is. At the fact that it is still hell. It's still hell no matter how nice it is. All right? Like the same thing I said over and over again. It doesn't matter if you're listening to a nice song with your headphones in, everyone else isn't. All right? That's the same way I feel when those people in those cars, they play music out loud, thinking that everyone likes their song. They don't. And you are literally causing a burden on everyone else by playing that song out loud in your car. Everyone doesn't like that song. If anything, that song is literally interrupting what everyone else is doing. Just because you see the world this specific way, doesn't mean that everyone else does, So the fact of the matter is that having children is a complete burden on everyone, everything. The child itself, the family, the mother, all right? Because her body is now completely compromised for all of life, all right? So let's start off with that alone. Now let me get into the whole entire raising of a child. The whole raising of a child into all of its life, through all of its life. You have an idea what that is like? Because you probably don't. I'm telling anyone who wants to have children or considers the idea of having children, these people need to be put to babysit 2 kids for a whole 3 days to understand what they're getting into, because I believe most people that want children have no clue or idea what they're literally getting into for all of their life. They have no idea or clue what they're getting into at all, by any sense of the word getting into. They have no idea, clue of what they're getting into at all whatsoever. In their heads, they have no idea what they're getting into. They probably think that they're gonna have a nice happy family with like the family picture, the happy family picture with the smiles and the holidays and all that. Yeah, that's a minuscule part of having a family. That's such a minuscule, tiny part of having a family that it doesn't account for all of the whole entire raising part of it, the whole raising part of it, looking after the child 24/7, not being able to take your eyes off the child. Have they ever counted for that? These people that want to have children, have they ever accounted for that? It's insufferable. It's an insufferable fucking job. It's a job that I wouldn't wish on anyone. It's a job. The babysitting job is oh my god, it's just hell. It's just hell, and it's a job that most people have no idea about. They have no idea about. Both male parents and the women, they have no idea about. Like, if they're considering doing it, they probably have no idea what they're getting into at all. In their heads, they have no fucking clue what it's like. I don't even think they recognize the way they've been raised and the hell their own parents have been through. I don't even think they acknowledge that or bring that into consideration. The trauma they inflicted upon their parents, their own parents raising them. I don't think they recognize that or remember that. These people probably have terrible remembering issues or short-term memory loss or some form of memory loss to not acknowledge these instances where they put their parents through hell, or where they were an annoying brat, or terrible memory issues to where they don't understand what they themselves could possibly be getting into when considering having children or having a child or bringing a child into this world. They probably don't understand the level of impact that must have on themselves as parents. They probably don't acknowledge any of this. And again, this is based on low IQ, terrible intelligence, just stupidity, plain stupidity, retardation of some sort, and again, narcissism or sociopathy to a level. Of course, some sort of entitlement to a level. Again, it has to be not only narcissism and entitlement and selfishness, but also a level of low IQ, low intelligence, terrible memory. Something along these lines has to be a factor, because there's no way they don't see the world the way the world is. There's no way they see the way the world is, the type of hell the world is, and consider having a child and impact that on their entire life and the child itself, the economy, society, all of society, the burden it is on all of society, the burden that it is to nature. Okay, because not only can they not see that humans are a plague, they just can't see any of these things. They just, for whatever reason, they can't see any of these things. Now, the final point is religion. A lot of people tend to have children because of religion or religious beliefs. And I'm sorry that this video is so long, but I just need to state my fucking idea here. It's impossible that people are this low IQ, this stupid, this idiotic, this level of narcissist, this level of entitled, that they can't see the problem that they're causing and the problem that they're causing upon their own goddamn selves. So another reason is religion. Religion is a big reason as to why people consider having children or having children at all. It's based on religion. So let me get into the whole religion thing. Religion is idiotic, number one. If you don't see it as idiotic, again, you're one of these narcissists, you're one of these entitled people, you're one of these selfish people, you're just pure evil and narcissist, pure idiotic, pure narcissist and sociopath, or some level to that. Religion is idiotic, all right? It's pure idiocy. The entire idea of any religion, it's idiocy, all right? It's stupidity, all right? It's nonsensical. All religions nonsensical, based on nothing but a goddamn book, okay? And people might as well believe in Santa Claus too, because you're not going to sit here and tell me that there's a God of any level, of any kind, ever, number one. Because if you're going to tell me that there's a God, you might tell me that Santa Claus exists as well, on the same grounds as God. So, for a God to exist, not only there needs to be insane amounts of proof, and there's zero proof anywhere you go. Number two, a God wouldn't desert us. He wouldn't desert its creation. All right, ever, okay? Especially if he was a good, all-loving God. He would never, ever in the history of ever desert its creation. This means from the moment you're born, this God would have manifested to you in your times of need. On any time that you had need, or any time you had bad problems or issues, this God, one way or another, would have manifested to you through all of your life. That's second, okay? That's for a fact, if a God existed and he was a good, all-loving God, all right? So yeah, there's zero reason for me to believe there's a God at all, all right? You can see this when you look at society and nature. Just one day, sit down alone and look at society and nature. What part of society, what part of nature tells you there's a God, or that a God exists? Stay away from these books. Stay away from these Bibles, who, by the way, you don't know who the fuck wrote them. Stay away from that shit. Sit down alone one day, in nature or in society, somewhere alone, that you can be all alone, and tell me what part of nature or what part of society makes you believe that a God exists. Sit for a good, long time alone, and tell me what part of existence tells you that there's a God, all right? That's just consider that. Just consider that. If you're a logical being of intelligence, consider that. All right? Zero chance for me to think that a God exists of any kind. All right? Male or female, whatever you want to consider it. Zero chance of there being a God at all. Listen to my words. At all. Zero chance of there being a God at all. Okay? Now let me get to, past this whole having children shit. People think that because of religion, they should have children, right? Because of a book written by human beings, a man-made book. Because of a man-made book, they believe in a God. Can you believe the level of insanity that is? Can you understand the level of insanity that shit is? People believe there's a mythical being, okay? A magical being. People believe there's a magical being because of a man-made book created by man in this man-made world, all right? This fucking world that we live on, okay? People think there's some kind of magical being because of a stupid book written by human beings, idiotic human beings, imbeciles, complete imbeciles. All of humanity, like a large part of humanity, believes in a mythical magical being because of a goddamn written book. Can you understand the level of insanity of that? Can you understand the insanity of that? The pure low IQ of that? Can you grasp the level of low IQ that shit is? All right. So sit with that and understand that. No reason for anyone to believe in any sort of God. Now, the only thing that can look like a god would be Mother Nature, obviously, because Mother Nature, I guess, is just nature and all beings in it and the fruits that grow out of trees. That could potentially be considered a god, just Mother Nature. But if Mother Nature is a god, it's not a good god by any means, by any stretch of the imagination. Mother Nature is not a good god whatsoever. If you can just look at the animals that are predators, that slaughter other animals in order to feed themselves, Mother Nature is by no means a good god of pureness and kindness and good and positivity. By no means is Mother Nature a good, all-loving god that is just filled with love and kindness and all these fucking stupid shit. By no means is Mother Nature a good, all-loving, forgiving god. Alright? If you can understand the badness that exists in this world, the depravity that exists in this world, the evil that exists in this world, if you can understand all of that shit that exists in this carnal world, Mother Nature, if a god, is not a good god. By no means, by no stretch of the imagination, is Mother Nature a good, all-loving god of just kindness and positivity. If Mother Nature is a god, it's a god of both evil and good, of both negative and positive. Like, that would be the only God that exists, and I don't think this God can even speak to us. I don't think Mother Nature, the God, can speak to us on a, person-to-person basis. I don't think that's how that shit works, and that would be our creator, first of all. Mother Nature would be our creator, period. Now, the other thing is that we are, in fact, an advanced species on this world. Humans are the most advanced species on this world, period. That's a whole mystery. That's an entire mystery. That's another reason people want to believe in these religions, because they don't understand why humans are the most advanced species walking the planet and every other animal is an imbecile. They don't understand why humans are the most intellectually advanced species walking the planet. And because people don't understand this mystery, they turn to religion as a source, or they turn to religion as an answer. And that is ridiculous, because no amount of book can ever point to us the reason why we are the most advanced species. We are the most advanced technologically, intellectually. Just humans are the most advanced species on the planet. We have conquered the planet. And it's such a horrid mystery. It's such a mystery that it's disturbing to think about. If you ever think about one day you're driving down, you don't understand why all of animals have stayed as animals, and you as an advanced species have dominated the planet. One day you're just driving down. That whole thought is disturbing. It's unsettling. It's an unsettling thought that should make everyone's blood run cold. And because it's a disturbing thought, people turn to religion as an answer, as a source, or some sort of comfort. Turning to religion is idiotic and will never give you an answer, all right? Like I said, if there was a God, he would eventually manifest himself to you through all of your life in your times of need, all right? This would have already been happening, and it hasn't happened. It just hasn't happened, period. We are the most advanced species walking the planet. Just because we are the most advanced species walking the planet, just because we have dominated the planet, doesn't mean there's a God. Just because we have somehow become the most advanced species walking the planet does not mean there's a God at all. Zero chance at all. Just because we are the most advanced species walking around doesn't mean there's a God. That's not a reason as to a proof that there's a God. We are not a proof that there's a God. That's not how that shit fucking works. Something must have gone wrong. Some kind of accident must have gone wrong. And even more advanced species probably created us. Like, they probably did some splice shit, some DNA shit in a lab, and that's how humans came to be. But who the fuck created them, right? Then we go into the cycle of who created who made this person that, who did this. Just because animals exist, just because we exist, doesn't mean there's a God. I'm sorry, that just doesn't mean there's a God. Like I said, like, the only thing that looks like a God is Mother Nature. And if Mother Nature is the God, it doesn't look like it's a nice God. Like, if Mother Nature is the God, it looks like a God of both evil and good. Like, in this world, you need to have evil and good type of thing, And this world is just evil. Like, you see evil for the most part. You see depravity for the most part. You see just every sense of badness and evil for the most part. Like, the things that are nice and good and pleasurable don't outweigh the things that are negative and evil and bad. Like, the level of bad is higher than the level of good in this world. It's just higher. It's higher, and you see it every fucking day. You see it every goddamn day. Just because you have a comfortable life, just because you have a car or a bed at home, just because you have warmth at home, like a heater or some shit, just because you have money and a comfortable life, doesn't mean that there's a God. Doesn't mean that there's no negativity. Just because you're not experiencing negativity right now doesn't mean that negativity doesn't exist to an insane level, okay? Negativity exists to an insane level compared to positivity. Like, there's so much evil and poverty and negativity going around that I don't even think you understand the level that the negative is to the positive in this world, all right? There's more negative to positive in this world. And like Eric DUBAY said, like, a lion will hunt a zebra, right? A lion will hunt a zebra, and the zebra will feel insane levels of anxiety and torture and torment and fear. Insane levels of torment and fear, because it knows it's dying. It knows it's being hunted. It knows what the lion is going to do to it. That's why it runs. So then the lion catches it. The zebra feels all the pain, all the killing of its own being. The zebra experiences the pain and the torture to insane levels. And the lion, once it's finished with the zebra, the lion feels 10 minutes of feeding, of pleasure of feeding. The lion feels 10 minutes of fucking feeding, compared to the fear, the sadness, the trauma that the zebra experienced. What does that tell you? Does that tell you that there's a God and a nice God? That tells you there's a nice God? Huh, sheep? That tells you that there's a nice God that after you die will come to save you or some shit? What level of that makes you think that even the afterlife will be better? Like, what part of that tells you that the afterlife will somehow be better than the hell that the world is? What tells you? What tells you? Like, what part of that tells you? Huh? Now, even in nature, the male animals have to rape the female animals most of the time. Like, most of the time, it's that the male animals are practically raping the female animals to reproduce with each other. What part of that tells you that Mother Nature is good? You know, and us, what part of us, you know, we feed on animals as well. We slaughter animals. We have all these slaughterhouses in order to eat that nice steak, in order to eat that chicken, those chicken wings. But what part of us tells you we are godly beings? We are godly beings. We are these beings that came from heaven, from God. We are these beings that came from an all-loving good God. What part of us slaughtering all these animals and consuming them tells you that we are godly beings, that we are beings of a good God? All right? What part of that? What part of that? You tell me what part of that tells you that we are these beings of an all-loving God that came from an all-loving good God. All of us are eating fucking meat on the fucking daily. And you know what? What tells you that what part of that tells you that we are a being that came from a God? You see the level of stupidity of that? Do you see the stupidity of religion? Do you see what level of stupidity that is? My goddamn, it's so stupid, it's so idiotic, it's so low IQ. I don't know how damn bad of a person you need to be living through this hell that you consider having children or being religious. I don't know what level of narcissist you have to be to ever consider having children or being religious. I don't know what level of just pure brain rot. Okay, I don't know what type of brain rot you need or what type of retardation you need to be religious and have children. I don't know what level of sociopathy, I don't know what level of narcissism you need to consider having children and be religious. I don't know what level of any of that shit you need, because I don't see any part of living that outweighs, you know, the bad in it, you know? Like, there's more bad than there is good. And another thing is, you can't always protect your child. You can't forever protect your child. They're going to experience trauma or bullying to some sort of degree at any point in life. Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter how much you protect them. Eventually, they're going to experience bullying or harassment or even rape. You know, potentially, you will not always be there. They could at any time experience any of these horrid things that we do to each other. We could, you know, let me tell you, if you have a child, you have to consider the fact that eventually they will experience some sort of harassment, some sort of bullying, to whatever degree, because bullying has degrees, but they will for a fact experience bullying, harassment from, you know, if they're females or even males, it doesn't matter. Potentially they will experience some form of harassment or even the worst part, rape. Like, the worst one they could experience is rape. So that's the thing about having children. I am not willing to bring someone not only into this world, not only into this hell where everyone is a detriment to everyone, but they could eventually experience harassment, bullying, and rape. So by no means do I want to put someone through any of this shit. By no means do I want to put anyone through any of this horrid shit. So yeah, like, I don't want to do that. So that's the conversation for today. It's the reason why I'm 0% religious and 0% having a child. I by no means want to have a child and put them through any of this horrid shit that we live on the daily. Now there's also the talk of poverty. Like, every day everyone struggles to get a paycheck and feed themselves, feed them their goddamn selves. All right. On the daily we experience just fighting each other and trying to get a fucking paycheck. All right. In the workplace we're always bullying each other. We're always putting each other down in order to get into higher positions and higher pay. In everyday life we fucking fight a goddamn battle with each other for money. So in what world do you want to put someone through that shit? You tell me if you consider putting someone through all of life and all of this fucked up shit, and tell me what kind of person you are, all right? Don't ever tell me you're a person of God and you eat goddamn meat. You eat chickens, you eat animals, you eat any sort of meat, and you want to tell me you're a person of God. And who the fuck is God? You want to tell me that God came from a written book? Don't ever come to me with that mental illness. Don't ever come to me with that godforsaken mental illness, all right? We are a godforsaken species that's not only been abandoned by God, and if there is a God of any kind whatsoever at all, it's a God of both good and evil, and more so evil than good. You can watch all those Eric DUBAY videos, he's fucking right. And you will never tell me that you are correct, because in this stance, I'm correct. I'm correct in not only not having children and being an antinihilist, but I'm correct in also being agnostic and not believing that there's a goddamn godforsaken God. There will be no God in this world. There is no God in this world. And you can search up, down, left, and right like I did. You can watch all the documentaries. You can look up the past. Okay, you can look into the past. You can look at ancient maps like I did. You can look up archaeology if you want. You will never in your fucking existence come across any proof that tells you that there's a fucking God. Ever. Okay, ever. Alright, ever. So yeah, that's the discussion for today. There's no God, and if there is one, which to me that's probably Mother Nature, but that's not a good God. Like, maybe our God is Mother Nature for a fact, but it's a God of mostly evil than good. So there you go. We live in a world of evil, of pure evil, vile destruction, okay, pain, murder, okay? We live in a world where we ourselves are fucking vile as we eat animals, okay? We are vile as we eat chickens and all these chicken wings and all these things that are meat. We are by no means a species that came from an all-loving God. We are by no means any of that shit. We are vile. We are not only vile, but we are a plague on this earth. And anyone that considers having children on top of the plague we already are is a vile being, is a being of stupidity. Period. Goodbye.